I now invite Shri Pranav Gupta, General Secretary of the Federation of Indian Publishers, to make his presentation.
Can I have the presentation up from the control desk? So, namaskar and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pranav Gupta. I'm the General Secretary with the Federation of Indian Publishers and Managing Director with a company called Prince Publication. A lot of people feel publishing is still a business of printing, whereas publishing is, developing a thought, developing an idea, nurturing it. Yeah. So at the outset, I would like to thank ICCR and its leadership for inviting the Indian Publishers Association to speak on the Knowledge India program. And we'll be seeking the career opportunities what we have in the Indian publishing industry. But before that, I would also like to give you the overview and the market size, the growth potential what the Indian publishing industry possesses. So today's readers will be creators and innovators for tomorrow. Our civilization, the Indian civilization, if we talk about, goes back, root back to 5,000 years. And we have been knowing our civilization through the various writers they have been writing for us from the last 5 years. And at the end of the day, we will be only be known in the future if the legacy continues and we have a robust publishing system. So importance of the publishing industry plays a pivotal role in the nation's development. Though we may not be a very, our role in the nation development may not be looked at in a very tangible format, but yes, there's a greater thing as a qualitative change we bring in the society, the knowledge what we bring in everyone's life. Connects culture to local to global. So whether we talk about from the cuisines traveled from one part of the world or the, the designs or the textile designing from one area to the another area, all has been transformed and has been traveled from books. Publishing industry, I always say, is the lifeline of the education system, and we'll discuss more in detail in the next few slides. If I talk about the economic contribution, it drives both the domestic as well as the international economies. If you look at the domestic front, the Indian publishing industry contributes 0.08% of the GDP. We are one of the largest publishing nations who export books from India to more than 160 countries across the globe. US, UK, and Ghana are the top 3 importers from India in terms of importing print books. We are the engine of progress, encourages creativity and innovation in all aspects. A quick overview about the Indian publishing industry. We are the world's 3rd largest print book market, just after US and China. We are the 2nd largest in terms of English language book publishing, just after the US. 24,000 publishers operate in India, and Indian print book market was at 722 billion in the financial year 2019-20, and it's almost growing at the close to 20% CAGR, and we are expecting to cross 1,000 million by the March 2024. If we talk about the publishing industry, we can broadly divide into 3 main categories: school education, higher education, and the trade book market. So 96% of the publishing consists of the education, and the 4% is the trade, which is the leisure reading, the adult fiction, non-fiction. So the publishing ecosystem in India, it's mainly divided into 3 verticals. So school education, largest in the world by the number of students. Majority of the school textbook publishing happens is the state sponsored by the NCRTs and the state boards. What is happening? Sorry, I just jumped on the slide. Yeah, so India has the demographic advantage I talk about. We are the world's largest populated country. We are the world's largest youngest population we have. Largest population in terms of school education of more than 265 million. The number of internet subscribers, the 467 million plus social media users we have. We have the largest Indian diaspora globally. The publishing ecosystem, if I talk about, as I said earlier, school education, higher education, and trade books. 70% close to is school education, which is state backed, followed by the private players. Higher education, we have scientific, technology, medical, law, different areas, different verticals, predominantly dominated by the private players. And if I talk about the trade book market, it's a growing market, and we will deep dive where we see a lot of career opportunities in the trade book segment. So opportunities for the publishers at the moment, if we see, a lot of global publishing hubs at the moment outsource their work right from the pre-press to post-press to the Indian market because of the economic, in terms of doing the production at a very competitive prices, comparing it to the West in terms of pre-press, designing, marketing, transportation, everything. Education sector is growing, and Indian curriculum and the pedagogy is quite capable, and it goes well, especially with the SAARC countries, few of the South Asian countries, and Indian educators have been able to design educational curriculums for a lot of African countries at South Africa, Ghana, and everywhere. Another potential area for the Indian publishing industry at the moment we see is in the OTT areas. A lot of web series, a lot of movies are now being adapted through the books. And another area, which is the growing area, which we will deep dive again in the next slide, is the language publishing. So as the Schedule 8 of the Indian Constitution, we have the 22 languages. And Hindi is the predominantly one language where we have a large number of books and everything gets published. But there's a lot of translation which is happening in India and the other languages. So school infrastructure, if I talk about, in India, we have more than 1.5 million schools. Higher education, if we talk about, we have number of central universities, state universities, deemed universities, colleges, right from the high-grade institutes like IITs, IIM, AIMS, IITs. And the new education policy and the recent Government of India move has also given the opportunity for the foreign universities to enter India. So new education policy, which was rolled out under the leadership of the Prime Minister Modi, is a very vast and a robust exercise which India will go through a traditional Indian knowledge system in next 10 to 15 years. It is going to be rolled out in a phase-wise manner. It's going to be executed. And a lot of things have already started taking place. So NEP talks on a variety of subjects, but I have kept my slides related to what it talks about the promotion of Indian languages, arts, and culture. So India's rich cultural heritage is a global treasure. Our culture we talk about is almost a 5,000 years, a rich culture we have. We have more than 19,000 dialects and number of languages we have in the Indian publishing system. There has been various challenges also we possess as an industry. Number of languages are also there, which are about to, get a. If I talk about the technology and documentation part, web-based platform to document and preserve all Indian languages, these are certain initiatives which are being also done. Scholarship and incentives, ICCR has been promoting a lot of scholarships for promotion of Indian languages, but we need more institutes like ICCR to help in this regard. So new education policy from the school education perspective, it talks about one at the school level is to achieve 100% gross enrollment ratio by 2030. Another key area in this where the publisher comes in is the use of mother tongue, a local language or a regional language until grade 5. And this creates an opportunity for the Indian publishers to promote and publish a lot of new books. In the higher education also, the government recommends to have a lot of local language as the medium of instruction. And in recently, certain state universities and state boards have already translated some of their English language textbooks into the other Indian languages in the field of sciences and medical as well. So if I talk about the market size of the print book publishing in India and the various, the categories, if I bifurcate, right from the pre-primary, we go to the total higher education segment. you will see the growth has always been in the double digits at the CAGR, and by the financial year 24-25, will be almost 1,000 million plus. So trade book market, which is the leisure reading market, the adult fiction, the children book, the graphic novels. If I talk about that, that constitutes almost 4% of the Indian publishing industry. If I compare it vis-a-vis with US, UK, Australia, the trade book market for India is quite low still, if I talk globally. But uh, if we see at 2014 and 15, our trade book market was close to 1900 billion rupees, which further grew up to 28 billion rupees in 1920. And if we see that trade book market in terms of language, it was almost 11 billion in English in 2013, which grew up to 14. But you see a considerable increase from 2013, from 14 to 20, from English to Indian languages. The number of books and the market size for Indian languages has been growing. So if we see, we look at the chart, the pie chart at the market size by the languages, Hindi dominates the complete segment by 33%, followed by Marathi, Malayalam, and Bengali. And then there are other languages in which the books gets published. Number of books published in various Indian languages. So we took the chart of the year 2021, and almost 146,000 books were published in the year 2021. Out of that, almost 45,000 books we had in English, followed by Hindi. Then we have a lot of publishing happening in Tamil, Bengali, Odia, Marathi, and we even have a folklore literature, religious books, which gets published. So if we see the topmost spoken languages in the world, out of that, you will see 5 to 6 Indian languages, they fall into the top spoken languages of the world, right from Hindi, Bengali, Urdu, you will see Marathi, Telugu, and Tamil. So here comes the career opportunity, the roles and opportunities what we have in the Indian publishing industry. First is the authorship. So any of the students, scholars who are studying abroad or understanding the and also studying the Indian languages, they have a great potential in terms of writing books, research articles, and everything. Especially if they are doing some kind of research on subjects like Buddhism, Ayurveda, and so on. There's a lot of potential for the scholars to enter as an authorship as a profession. Then editors is one of the main, the backbone of, in terms of the literary sense. If we talk about, editing is one skill set, because majority of the publishing houses would prefer to have those set of editors who can do editing in more than one language. Translators plays a very critical and a crucial role when we talk about, international students studying Indian languages. Because translation is something, a lot of people in today's time talk about, that we have softwares, AI tools, which can easily translate. But it is the human who understands that emotion, that value, that meaning, which where the translator plays a key role. I believe that DDG himself here is a translator and poet, and he has studied number of languages. I was looking at his profile. So the essence of the translation, I would say, is something purely human that is required. Digital marketing is one another area which is growing in the publishing industry at large. So scholars, students, people who understand more than one language can make customized digital plans. In today's digital marketing, where we have so much data, where we can have each specific campaigns, where we can have, genre-based campaigns, where we have a region-specific campaigns. So any for students who pursue their careers into this marketing segment and having knowledge about, more than one language makes a lot of sense. Content development is another area where, people at different area, they need customized content. Today, everything is, need and specification required. Specific requirements are there by a different set of organizations. And, at times we get, even in the publishing industry now, we get sometimes insurance companies to write, manual books for their HR, for their marketing toolkits. So a lot of content development opportunities are there within the publishing industry. Voice-over artist, extremely flourishing industry at the moment, I would say. The rise in the audiobooks is growing at a very fast pace. It's a very, so not only in terms of audiobooks, even the podcast, the kind of attraction it has gained in the youth is immense. So voiceover artist, both in terms of, for animation, for audiobooks, is a great potential for the students who can speak in more than one languages, who can read and write in more than one languages. Literary agent. A literary agent is something who technically negotiate rights between two set of publishing houses. So for an instance, if an ex-publisher in Delhi, they have published a book in English or a Hindi, and somebody in Spain or Germany wants to take rights. So literary agent is an established industry everywhere globally, and it is through them these a matchmaking of these publishing houses happens. And if a literary agent is another profession and a career which a scholar can always assume to, can create. And sales and marketing. A lot of US, UK, and European publishing houses have their offices now in India. And similarly, now Indian publishers are also expanding their international reach. So it will be always good for the scholars in terms of the who understand different set of languages. For an instance, if I have to open an office in, let's say, Germany for my European Union business, and if I get a German student over there or a German employee who understands both German, Hindi, English, it makes my life easy. So there's a lot of opportunity in the management, in the sales, marketing, and in the admin roles. So, as I say, publishing is the lifeline of the education sector. I'll just quickly touch base that apart from publishing, the scholars they can also, try their luck in the education sector. And I will not deep dive. So these are the key 3 to 6 areas which will do. So teaching is one. So if you see, lot of we have a large Indian diaspora in the Gulf region, and a lot of Indian schools and international schools teaching Hindi. We have a lot of CBSE schools, a lot of international schools which are into which teaches Hindi and other Indian languages like Malayalam, Tamil, Telugu, Bengali. So a European teacher applying a job in that Gulf area also understands Hindi and the other Indian languages will always have a better potential to get a job in these set of schools. Rest is research, policy, counselors, librarian, admin, and special educator. So through this, since ICCR invited us from the publishing industry, few key recommendations to grow the Indian publishing on the global footprint would be the enhanced training opportunities for us. Under the guidance and the supervision of ICCR, we can also look at, creating a Translators Guild of India, because that will be the bridge between, for the scholars to understand and adapt more and pursue the careers in the publishing segment. Structured training programs. Training programs in terms of book publishing and translation is need of the hour. At the moment, there are only 3 to 4 programs in India in terms of publishing, and only 2 programs which are happening in their translation. One at the Ashoka University and one at the Jadavpur University. So some kind of financial support for the translators so that they pursue their career in this segment. Language-centric institutional mechanisms where we can have the involvement of both center and state. Cultural diplomacy and international promotion. That has to be the mandate for all our Indian embassies and the at the Ministry of External Affairs and all the 38 premium ICCR institutes we have. And at the end, I always say, India needs a strong book promotion policy. The policy where we talk about creating right from the Mohalla libraries or having a book promotion officer at the district level, or we talk about, having a project aid grants and because we have credit lines with a lot of African and Asian nations, that could be one of the things we need to have. And more of the campaigns like Har Haath Ek Kitab or Bade India, those kind of campaigns, like the Prime Minister created one of the campaigns, instead of offering a bouquet, offer a bunch of a book set. So those campaigns needs to be run for in the interest of the publishing industry, not only at India, but at the global level. And when we talk about the knowledge-based economy, the Federation of Indian Publishers received a message from the Honorable Prime Minister, and where he has acknowledged the role of the publishing industry. So the Amrit Kal of next 25 years is a period to give wings to our aspiration, build a strong, self-reliant India. Knowledge has a central place, and in this mission, it goes without saying, publishing industry will play an important role. With these words, I end my presentation. Thank you so much.
Edition. So my question is, can you please survey the opportunities as far as indological publications? You mentioned about 200 universities and thousands of colleges. What is the scope for, I guess, for all of us to publish Indian editions in English and vernacular languages? What's the market for indological literature?
So almost if I talk about in terms of the education infrastructure, so all central and state universities and the deemed universities, they have the specific departments for these subject areas. And I see there's a huge potential for, in terms of the books, if they get published into the English and other Indian languages, the market is growing. And as you could see from my presentation, the number of students is growing with the increase in the number of institutions. And with the new education policy being rolled out, there has been a lot of students who have been dropped out during the course of their study structure, which the new education policy also brings them back. So I feel there is a very strong, growth opportunity and the strong opportunity for the, all the international scholars to get their books published, in the Indian market. And not only just the Indian edition, there are Indian publishers who are phenomenally doing very well. And probably, and a lot of, the Southeast Asian countries, a lot of African authors, they are now getting their original editions now published in India. And further, they are being translated into international and other Indian languages. So India is eventually looking forward to become a publishing hub globally. That is the way we are moving forward.